Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be going over some of my personal strategies for tackling textbooks and creating effective notes during school. I wanted to share this with you guys so that if you're in school right now and you're struggling to keep up with all the textbook notes and all the information being thrown at you, maybe my strategies can help you as well. First things first, I like to create a calm and productive reading environment. I've done this by creating just a little corner of my bedroom that I dedicate to studying. I have my laptop over here. I've set some tea. I have my oil diffuser going on my laptop, like I said, and then I have my monitor so that I can have my textbook up here and then be taking notes down on my laptop. I make it nice and cozy. I also put on a cafe jazz playlist in the background on YouTube. Some people choose to do the Pomodoro effect. I found that also extremely helpful. I usually will study for about 50 minutes, reading the textbook, taking notes, and then I'll take a 10-minute break. I also find it important during that break to not go on my phone. Find something else that can captivate your mind, because once you go on your phone, all of a sudden you're divided. Your brain's like focused on your phone, or like if you scroll through social media, something might pop up and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to respond to that, but you don't have time to respond to that. And it might weigh on your brain while you're trying to study or read your textbook, completely dividing your attention. And you don't want that. You don't want that. It's no good, bad juju. Don't do that. Last semester, I found out about Notion. And if you haven't looked up Notion yet, it's an amazing tool for keeping organized during the semester, during the school year, and taking textbook notes. So I'll walk you through my Notion page right now. So this is my Notion page I created for this upcoming semester. I had one for last semester as well, but this is the one that I've already created for the semester that's coming up soon. You can see in here, I have 4 different classes that I'm taking, and I have technology, ethics, care management 2, and pharmacology. I like to organize it so that I have my classes up top, and then right below it, I have my class schedule. That way I know what days I have classes and what time I need to be there. I also have a little Pomodoro timer, and then underneath that, I have a to-do list in which I'm going to create, once I get the topical outlines for all of my classes, I'll go ahead and put in all my due dates there and the textbook chapters that I need to read prior to going to class. Below that, I have a progress through the semester, which I really like. I can go ahead and tick off those boxes as the days pass, and I can see how much time has lapsed or how much time I have left within this semester. And then underneath, it's going to be upcoming dates. I'm going to put all my due dates for my exams and homework in here so that I know when things are due and I can make sure that I get things done on time. So when I go into one of the classes, and I'm going to use care management as an example because this professor already gave us a topical outline and told us that we have assignments, well, not assignments, but chapters and reading due the first day of class. So this is my care management 2 course. Inside of this, I have my notebook. And in this notebook, you have textbook notes, lecture notes, and study guides. Of course, lecture notes and study notes are both empty right now because I haven't actually started the semester, but I'll fill them out as the semester goes. So textbook notes, that's why we're here. We are trying to learn how to effectively take textbook notes without spending hours per chapter. So what I went ahead and did, and you guys can do this too if you ever get your topical outline for the semester and you know what chapters are due which weeks. I went ahead and put in which chapters, like I said, are due each week. So you'll see week 1, week 3, we don't have class on week 2 because it's a holiday. Week 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to week 14. We do have 16 weeks, but our last 2 weeks are more so for studying and finals. So in here, you'll see that each week I have the chapters, what the chapter number is, and what the topic is. Before I even start reading anything, before I plan on reading anything, for each chapter, I go in and fill out that outline that's in the textbook. So you'll see I've already started making notes. I've already started reading. So this is a chapter that I've already read. Actually, let me go into a chapter that I haven't read. And so I'm going to use chapter 13 as an example. You can go in and you'll see anatomy and physiology review. That's what the first section of that chapter is about. And then you have fluid and electrolyte balance. And then the rest of the chapter is over fluid overload, sodium imbalance, hyponatremia, natremia, hypernatremia, stuff like that. And so that I know I'm going to be taking notes over. So that's how I go about what I'm going to be outlining for my chapters and my textbook notes. One way that I read textbooks is I read the first sentence of the paragraph, the last sentence of the paragraph, and anything that's bolded. That's what I'm going to take my textbook notes on. That's what I'm going to think about and what I'm going to summarize. I'm going to figure out, okay, so say this chapter, it starts with older adults living in community are usually mentally sound and competent. However, they are hospitalized or have chronic illness. Major changes in cognition, sometimes referred to as mentation, often occur. And then I'm going to go to the last paragraph or the last sentence of that paragraph, which is, however, severe cognitive impairment and psychosis are not usual physiological changes associated with aging. That's also italicized. So I think that's really important. That's something that I'm going to include in my notes. When I do my notes, if there's anything that's bolded, I'm going to highlight that because that's something that I find the textbook wants us to know. A lot of it has to do with terms that you need to know. So when I'm reading my textbook, if I come across a word or a term that's bolded, I'm going to go ahead and write that down. I'm going to jot that down in my notes and I'm going to highlight it. By highlighting it, it tells me that that's something that could be important and could come up on an exam. A lot of times what I find professors might do is when they see in the textbook a bolded word or a term, they might add that to their exams, as well as anything that might be in boxes, on the sides, italicized. Those are important to keep in mind because those stand out more and professors might be, more prone to use those in their exams or in their teaching. So when you're reading your textbooks and you have, say, like a couple chapters due the upcoming week, I like to use Chat GPT to help me kind of figure out like what I'm going to read and when. I like to throw into Chat GPT how many pages that I have per chapter, how many chapters are due, and what's the best way to utilize my time to make sure I'm getting all the information out of these chapters. And Chat GPT will tell me, okay, read this amount of pages, take a break. Read this amount of pages, take a break. Go back over those pages or your notes from those pages and summarize all of your notes and make sure that it's kind of like an active recall. So using Chat GPT in that way, it helps you break things into chunks. You don't want to tackle the chapter all at once. It can be extremely overwhelming. So break it down into pieces. And like I said, I like to use Chat GPT to help me break down into pieces and make sure that I'm hitting my deadlines. I use Chat GPT for almost everything. I plug all my assignments in there. I plug in all my chapters that I have to do, exams, and I have it create a calendar for me, or like a calendar for me of day to day, like what I'm gonna do, the time that I'm going to do it. I plug in like to Chat GPT everything. Chat knows my life by this point. I go ahead and plug in like my work schedule, if I have any upcoming due dates, if I have any upcoming appointments, and I put it all into Chat GPT, and it creates an outline for the week for me so that I know what day I'm doing what time. I like to use Chat GPT to break it down. I tell Chat, what assignments are due what days, what exams are due what days, what chapters I need to read by when, and it creates kind of like a study schedule outline for me to follow loosely. And I found that to be a really helpful way to organize how my week's gonna look. So once you're done with your reading and you're done taking your notes, I find it very helpful to go back through those notes once you've gone through the class. So take your notes, right? Take your notes, take your textbook notes. You already read through the entire chapter, you have class. Go into class, and like I said, I have my little section for lecture notes. Go in there, take your lecture notes. If the professor has a PowerPoint, I copy and paste that entire PowerPoint into my lecture notes. And then what I'll do is I'll go into the lecture notes while the professor's lecturing in a different color font. I will go ahead and just write out like other key facts that I found important that the professor mentioned. So once I have my study notes and then I have my lecture notes, I can cross compare between those two notes to create my own study guide. I know that the professor is more than likely not going to quiz me or put on the exam anything that she hasn't talked about in class. So anything that she's talked about in class are going to be in her lecture notes, and I can cross compare her lecture notes if she's kind of briefly touched on a topic to my textbook notes and create a study guide from that. And once I create that study guide, my technique that I do is I'll go through that study guide top to bottom, and in a notebook, I'll write questions from each little blurb that I feel like I need extra help on. I'll write a question, like a quiz question, and then I'll create the answer underneath it. And that's going to be what I'm going to study from. I'm going to go through all of those questions over and over again until I get all of them right. And I completely understand why I'm getting them right. So when it comes to tackling your textbook notes, it's best to be consistent. You want to set aside at least 30 minutes a day, 5, maybe 6 days a week, especially during the school semester, to read some of your textbook and to go over your textbook notes. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to be reading hours and hours. Make sure that you take breaks. Make sure that, if you study for 50 minutes, give yourself a 10-minute break. And after, say 4 or 5 hours, give yourself like a 30-minute to an hour break. Like, you do not want to overwhelm your brain and overload it with so much information that you're just absolutely burnt out by the time that you're halfway through the semester. Make sure to take time for yourself. Do things that you enjoy. For me, I enjoy vlogging and I enjoy editing my vlogs. And so I go through whenever I have breaks and I just like add a little bits and blurbs to my vlogs and I'll edit a little bit. And when I'm really burnt out, I'll go through and I'll spend at least an hour editing my vlog, and then I'll go back to taking textbook notes. It's super important to prioritize your mental health as well during this time, because again, you do not want burnout. It is so easy to get burnt out when you're reading so many textbooks. So there you have it. These are my strategies for taking textbook notes and reading textbooks. I hope that this has been helpful for you. If you find any of my techniques helpful, let me know down below. Let me know some of your favorite strategies and techniques to studying and taking textbook notes. I hope that you guys have a great semester and you get all A's. That's all that we all want, right? It's just getting good grades and to graduate. Let me know also down below when you plan on graduating. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Let me know down below also some other topics that you guys would like to see me post. And I'll see you guys in the next video.